Thanks again for the introduction, DC, and thanks again, everybody, for joining us. It looks like we've got people from around the world, so welcome wherever you are. I'm delighted to be talking to you about this. It's one of my pet topics. I studied and researched careers during my master's in organizational psychology, not at LSE, but another revered London institution. And the reason that I'm really interested about talking about this to you today is that we're witnessing a really interesting moment, both in our general economies, but particularly in the digital marketing industry. There's lots of new tech around. Obviously, AI grabs the headlines, but really there's a fundamental shift in how we're thinking about digital marketing. Has that dampened demand? No, it hasn't. There's more demand than ever. But what I really want to show you throughout this is that despite all the talk of tech and AI, it's you. It's really what makes you special that will help you shine. So yes, you need the certification. Yes, you need skills, and yes, you need experience. But there are ways of getting those. Really, what's going to make you unique and stand out is you. And so we're going to talk about the industry. We're going to talk about the opportunities there. We're going to talk about how things are changing, and we're going to talk about how you can stand out. And I'm going to draw on my experience as a recruiter. So I've run digital marketing agencies, I've worked in-house, and I've climbed the ladder myself. So I'll share a bit of kind of how people have stood out for me effectively, and what effectively as a recruiter I'm looking for. So really the title of this talk should be, how do you stand out? So there's millions of jobs, but there's one that's going to be, perfect for probably for each of you, should you wish to pursue your career in the industry. And really, our job, Fourth Rev, LSE Online, and me, with a bit of a hopefully initial spark, we're here to help you get it. As I said, it is a weird and it seems like a scary time. Sometimes feels like, I certainly feel like, that AI is a bit like the Eye of Sauron looking out at us, and it's going to command everything and change everything. And yes, to a degree, it is changing things, but actually the fundamentals hold true. And that's really what we're going to dive into, because ultimately, what digital marketing has always been about and will always be about is creating human connections. Yes, we use technology to do that, but fundamentally it's about connecting people together, brands, customers, communities, individuals. And that connection is about empathy, it is about truth, and it's about emotion. And so that's the tension that we're going to explore a bit: how to thrive in this world of technology as a human, and how to stand out. And hopefully we'll have a good chat. I'd really encourage you to contribute throughout this. Just a very little bit about me. So I was invited by Fourth Rev, the organization that set up and run these webinars and help the program at LSE. So as I said, I'm going to start from the beginning, actually. So I dipped my toes into digital marketing first when I set up my own brand of socks online, which was a wonderful experience. It allowed me to experience the whole range of digital marketing. Didn't turn out to be my passion, so then left and worked for a variety of organizations, some focusing on data, but always focusing on how to sell, engage, and market to people. And I most recently set up a digital marketing agency, grew the team there, and at the end of last year, I actually made the decision that I was going to wind those operations down, and I'm now acting as a chief marketing officer. And so in all those roles, I've delivered digital marketing, but I've also had the privilege of working with very talented digital marketers. And the people that really stand out are the people that stood out as people, but also because they were technically proficient. And so I'm going to keep hitting that theme of standing out as a person, and not just standing out because you are a technologist. So what am I hoping that you're going to take away from this? Well, there's lots of change going on. I'm going to talk you through what those changes are at a very high level, just share some stats that hopefully won't blow your minds, but will reveal that this is a really interesting sector to be in. It's really a great time to join the sector, because we're looking for lots of people, but we want those people to really shine for who they are. Shining for who you are is about showing what you care about. What's your mission? What drives you forward? What gets you up every day? And so a tool that I've found very helpful throughout my career is the Japanese concept of Ikigai. We're going to talk about what that is, but effectively it's your professional purpose, what gets you up in the morning and what drives you forward. And Ikigai is a great way of helping you identify what's special about you, what you care about, what you can make money doing, and what the world needs. And these are all things that you will need alongside proof that you can do it in your job search. So for me, it's a great way of actually just breaking out of those normal ways of thinking and doing something that you really care about. And so that's what this is about. And we'll talk about how you can use your Ikigai, your own notion of what makes you special and what drives you. We're going to talk about how you can use that to authentically stand out during the application process and hopefully make it a bit less of a drag and a bit less purpose driven and a bit more meaningful. It's hard work, sure, but hopefully Ikigai will make it a little bit more sparkly, a bit more, help you be a bit more effervescent, as DC was telling us he was feeling earlier. We've been through the practicalities, but please use the chat function. Please ask all the questions. Please let us know what you're really interested in or what's confusing. Sam is in the background, so if I'm talking too quickly or you don't understand something or need me to repeat something, just pop it in the chat and I will go through that. I will try and slow myself down, but I get very excited. And so if I talk too quickly, then let me know. And as all of this is going to be shared, so really try and focus. Now, there will be a moment towards the end where it might be worth taking some notes because I'm going to ask you to think about your mission, your purpose, your values, and what you really care about, and what you love. That might be useful to type down. So if you've got something to make notes on, that's good. If not, that's absolutely fine as well. And to sort of think about, we've got loads of really great people from around the world. You've got your ideas. And one thing that is important when you're looking for a new career and you're finding your way is to be part of a community. And so it'd be great if you could share your ideas with the group. What communities and meetups and events do you recommend for digital marketers? I mean, it doesn't have to be necessarily about digital marketing, but as people are trying to find their career or trying to find their way forward, who do you lean on? Where do you go? What do you talk to? It could be online, it could be in person, it could be something else. So yeah, if you've got any ideas, I'd love to hear them, of course, and I'm sure the rest of the group would too. So yeah, please pop those ideas in the chat. But before we do that, Sam's going to kick us off with a quick poll, because what I'd love to know is kind of broadly where you are as a group in terms of your career. So you'll see that on screen now. You've got a few seconds to click on it. So just let us know kind of where you are in your career. Are you starting off? You actively looking? Are you trying to shift? You get the picture. Okay, I think we've got a lot of people clicking. If you haven't found the poll, dig around for it. We'd love to get all of you answering. Seems like a lot of people are in the kind of curious phase of looking at it, but what I'll do is I'll let that poll run and I'll get on with the conversation. So where are we? What's the state of the digital marketing industry? So I told you earlier that it was in good health. Why am I saying that? And what's the evidence to back it up? So it is in very good health. And part of what's driving that is the fact that there are a lot of people in the world, but it's taken a while for everybody to get online and to get using social media. But now, as you can see from this stat, and this is some of the latest data, there are more than 5 billion people now using social media. And that's much higher than the rest, sort of 62%. It's getting up to 2/3 of the world. So that's a lot of people who are not only have a device to access social media, but they are actively using social media. So most people now around the world are using it. And actually, sorry, just to go back to that, it's similar stats for internet and web access. So most, I think it's actually slightly higher. I think it's something around 66% of the world can now get online and access the web via the internet. What are people doing there? Well, they're actually spending a lot of time on social media and online finding products to buy, right? And I'm sure a lot of you do that as well. If you're thinking about a trip somewhere, if you're thinking about getting a new deodorant, whatever it might be, you'll probably spend a bit of time. You might look at a couple of videos, but you'll definitely be interested and influenced by the products that people talk about. And it's the same with the internet. So one of the primary, in fact, the primary reason, according to GWI in 2023, of why people go onto the internet, access websites, is they want to find information. And again, you know that, you don't need me to tell you that, but that's what most people are doing. They're finding information, they're trying to solve problems, and again, finding products and services is an important part of what they're finding. And that's really what the job of digital marketers is. It's about harnessing that interest and directing people towards a product and service, or the product and service that you think can solve the thing that someone's interested in. And so really, as digital marketers, what we're trying to do is connect up that interest to a product or service, to nurture the relationships, to help people buy, and to help people spread the word when they are happy, hopefully, with the product and service. So that's why ad spend is ballooning. It's forecast that between 2021 and 2027, digital ad spend is going to almost double. It's a huge, eye-watering number. It's 700 billion forecast for next year, and that's why people need digital marketers, right? So we need digital marketers to harness this interest, to turn it into something valuable for companies, and effectively get heard in all the noise that's out there online. So on LinkedIn, the last counts, according to LinkedIn themselves, there were 860,000 digital marketing roles listed globally. We floated the number of 2 million, and that 2 million is made up obviously of these 860,000, but all the other places online where you can find where people advertise digital marketing roles. We used to advertise on LinkedIn, but we'd also use our website and all the other different job boards that are out there, like Indeed, Total Jobs, etc., etc. So 2 million jobs, a lot of interest, and this is growing. So there's about a 7% growth, the compound annual growth that's forecast over the next few years. As you saw, as projections for digital ad spend grows, we need people to manage that. So if you're thinking about the role now, this is a great time to be in the industry. It's going through a change, but there's a lot of opportunity that's still out there and still will be out there. So a long and healthy career awaits you should you be successful. There's good money in it as well. So the median UK salary, the most common salary that we see for digital marketers in the UK, and again, this is very up-to-date information from April 2024, just a few weeks ago. So £41,000, and that can go up to many sort of six-figure numbers if you get into a very senior role, and even bigger if you are lucky enough to be in a brand that's maybe you've got some equity. So the growth trajectory is very, very promising. Whether you choose to stay in an agency or whether you work in-house, there's lots of opportunity out there. What could you expect to start on? Well, normally kind of around the late 20Ks in the UK, but career progression is very good. And what we were seeing in our agency is that people that were coming in with, let's say, a year or two of experience we were paying them around 32K. So, it's a good place to be paid a good salary. What do people want? Well, when we talk about digital marketing, what we often think about is the technical skills. So these are the skills on the left-hand side. And I'll just let you know, this is the most words you're going to see on a screen. Don't try and read everything, but it is useful to know that digital marketing is still seen as a technically focused role. So you want to know about things like SEO, so search engine optimization, how to get websites found, email marketing, social media, all the stuff that goes around analytics. Digital marketing is driven by data. It's how we make decisions. It's how we refine things. It's how we iterate. It's how we know things are working. So everything around data management, automation, social media, content design, copywriting, etc. So there's a lot of technology involved. However, as with many roles, that's not what's going to help you stand out. And particularly as more technology gets automated and more things in technology allow us to effectively do things in a slightly different way. So particularly AI helping with things like content design. What really will help you shine as an individual are your business skills and impact skills. Impact skills are what we used to call soft skills and are kind of being a bit rebranded. And actually, these are really important. And I think if one of the things that you need to know if you want to stand out is that the minimum expectation for a role in the industry will be the technical skills. People will want to know that you can use these tools. And so courses do focus on that. but the best courses focus on the thinking that goes behind that, the business thinking. I was about to call it thinking. Okay, so it's the things like business strategy. How does a business improve performance in the face of competition in a changing context? Marketing strategy. How does marketing help a business improve its performance, win work, get brand awareness, generate leads, make money? Business development. How do you sell? The domain knowledge, and I'm going to come back to this, the situation, the sector and the situation, the economic context drive a lot of business and marketing strategy. And this is essential for digital marketing roles because anyone can come along with the technical skills. They're pretty easy to develop, but what will help you stand out is how you apply them. And then how you interact and how you work as a human, what else you bring, your creativity, your communication, empathy, your problem solving, your ability to innovate, to do things in a new but useful way. Those are all things that will help you stand out as a person. So when you think about digital marketing, it's very important to think about all of these areas, and the best courses will help you think about that. Don't think that you can become a digital marketer just by learning SEO. Unfortunately, that's rarely the case. It will help you, but really you need to show how to apply SEO in a business context, do it creatively, and do it with empathy. So these are the sorts of skills people are looking for. And I talked about the technology. And it is technology, however, that is changing the domain. And it's changing it, I wouldn't say quickly, but we're starting to see some significant differences. So digital marketing has always been about data, and it's always been about digital. The name is in there in the profession title. So digital, the ability to connect things together without a physical connection, and data, the insights and the information about what's going on, connect those things together, and that's effectively digital marketing. Digital allows us to do things, to reach people. Data allows us to know what's happening, to get insights, to make decisions, to improve things, and to report on our performance. And it's these fundamental technologies, digital and data, that are changing the sector, because obviously they haven't changed over, sorry, they haven't stayed the same. They're continually evolving. And the biggest digital and data innovation that we've seen, and that I'm sure you will all be familiar with, is of course AI. AI has really been quickly adopted by marketers because it does things that marketers in general don't like doing or are a bit of a burden. So 91% of marketers use AI every day. I haven't used it yet this morning, but I generally do use it every day. I use it for research, for coming up with ideas, for correcting things, for copy editing, for coming up with plans. It's incredibly useful and it makes me more productive. And that's great, right? And that's why it's made such an impact in the digital marketing industry. It's a productivity tool, but it's more than that. And so there's lots of AI, effectively tools that learn, that can do things independently, that can come up with novel ideas right across the spectrum of digital marketing, right from the very first ideation and planning and strategy through to content creation, through to actually how you put up ads and the creatives that are associated. So there's AI everywhere. That, however, hasn't changed the fundamentals. And so if we go back to the skills that I showed you a second ago, these technical skills, yes, some of them are being AI'd, for want of a better word, but the business skills are very difficult to do. Yes, you can get some elements of that. So that's why, again, it's important to have a really good contextual business knowledge of the sector that you're working in. So lots of marketers using AI every day. I'd certainly encourage you to get familiar with the tools because they will help you. And I'll talk a bit about how potentially AI could help you stand out in your job search. But alongside that, consumers are becoming more sophisticated. So customers are now having very personalized experiences online, and AI is helping with that. So AI bots allow you to talk to customers, and customers also through things like algorithms get personalized content, suggestions, etc. And we've all experienced that. We get it on social media, we get it on platforms that we buy stuff on. But this is really important to consumers. So consumers are increasingly expecting personalized experiences, and that has to start with how you first engage people. So that's one big change in digital marketing, is that it's no longer one size fits all. You really have to know your audience. You have to be able to identify them, segment them, treat them differently, and take them on that journey from finding you for the first time through to buying you, through to becoming a fan of the product and promoting your product for you. That all has to be personalized, and technology obviously plays an important part of that, but as does understanding the consumer. To balance this out, there's also this idea of withdrawing from the digital world. So hashtag soft life era is trending on TikTok, and lots of people are advocating for toning everything down, withdrawing from digital, stopping social, focusing on less stressful activities, working less. And so there are some social changes that maybe started in the pandemic where people are reevaluating their relationship with business, with work, with society, but also with the digital media they consume. And as marketers, we have to be aware that even if someone's online, it doesn't mean that we can assume that they are a big fan of being online. So there's this big tension, and that's often what it feels like. It feels like there's a bit of tension. The other thing that is causing tension, this is something that I wrote about recently, is that AI isn't all it's cracked up to be. Sometimes it can be a bit problematic, and there's been recent research that's come out that suggests that actually some LLM models, so large language models, the thing that sits behind ChatGPT and that knows how everything works, these potentially degrade over time. And so there's a danger in using AI. There's a danger in assuming that it works for you. And so again, this does create a tension. We're pulled in lots of different directions as digital marketers. We have to get the tech right, but we have to get the empathy and the connection right. We have to produce lots of stuff, and it's great to use AI to do that, but sometimes that stuff doesn't come across as really authentic. So this authenticity is something that consumers are looking for, and it kind of echoes back to that soft life era idea of kind of, do I really trust social media? Do I really want to engage with it? So as digital marketers, we have to be aware of the fact that we're a very technically focused profession, but fundamentally we're about humanity, we're about connecting people together, and you can't do that unless really there's a sort of genuine feeling of, both sides want this. And so that's why things like your knowledge of your area is really important. So I led a research project for the EU about 5 or 6 years ago, and we were looking at AI and data science and asking companies what really makes a difference to someone. If you've got someone that's really technically able, is that enough? And basically every business from Spotify to the BBC to oil companies, they all said that if you had technical skills, yeah, that's great, but they will never create value if you don't know your domain, if you don't know your audience, and you don't know your business. And by knowing your domain, I mean knowing the sector that you operate in. What are the norms? How do people behave? What are the different ways of working? Who are the big players? Who are the small players? Who are the disruptors? Who are the influencers? How do things normally happen, and how should things happen? You really need to know that as a marketer for your sector that you're interested in, because you're operating within that sector and you're creating these connections between your brand and the users and other people. And so sometimes it's easy to think of us just having a one-to-one relationship with our audience. That's not the case. We're all part of a big ecosystem, and you have to understand that. And knowing your audience is part of that. These kids look great on the screen. I know nothing about them. I don't even know where in the world this is. Why are they wearing these bright t-shirts? There's a hand signal going on there. One of the dudes is, one of the guys is holding a half skeleton. I would not know where to start to engage with this audience, right? And so the closer you can get with that empathy, understand your audience, your domain, and obviously how your business relates to that. So again, this is vital for your career. If you want to stand out in this sector, and you go, if you're going for an interview at a particular company, know their domain, know their audience, know their business, because actually the technical skills, lots of people can come along. What I was always looking for was someone that had empathy, that had some form of connection or insight into that particular domain. It just makes life a lot easier. So in future, Yes, as digital marketers, if you're going to get into the sector, you have to provide evidence of the skills, but you also have to provide evidence of the domain, knowing, show people that what you can do is you can apply these skills, but in the service of the business, in the service of the customers, and in the service of the ecosystem. And to be able to do that knowledgeably and to avoid bad stuff happening, you really have to understand how things work. So the more, of course, as you're starting a career, you're not going to completely understand it, but the more you can immerse yourself into a sector, the more you can understand how things work, the better you will be set up to stand out as you apply for jobs and find jobs and start jobs in that sector. How do you stand out? How do you evidence this? Well, of course, there's courses. Saying you've been on a course with a reputable institution or organization is really important. That's how I started in the industry. After I set up my socks business, I realized I actually needed a better grounding, and I went to a well-known institution and I did my course there, and that gave me confidence that it filled in the gaps, and it gave me confidence that I knew what I was doing and that I could kind of get out there, and it gave other people confidence that this was a guy that maybe could do it. And the certification I got and the other certifications I've got, which are also about, they're not just about business thinking. Yes, they're about technology. So I've got technology certifications from the main bits of tech that I use. I don't need them so much as a head of marketing, but still, it shows that I've actually gone through this process. And then engagement with the community. So if you genuinely care about this profession, if you genuinely care about the sector, the people you're serving, the problem your business is solving, show that you're part of that community. If you're working for an eco brand, be part of the eco community. If you're working for a brand that's trying to improve financial skills in young people, understand what these financial skills are about, understand the problems that young people have. So that's how to stand out. Know your domain, show that you know your domain through your community, but also have the right courses and certifications under your belts. Because frankly, when I was looking for people, I wanted to know that they cared, but I also wanted to know they could do the job, and both are as important. Although I'll come back to this later, because that's not always the case. And yeah, we will talk about when sometimes it's better to go for someone who really seems to care. So we're going to move into now what you can do to stand out, what you can do to find your purpose. But before we do that, just a quick reminder, please share your tips. I'd love to know where you're going to find out information about this profession. Who's influenced you? Is there a meetup you go to, or is there an event you're excited about? Let me know and let everyone else know. So I'm going to take just a sip of my green tea, if you can excuse me, before we get into the second section. I'll just pause for a moment there, just to allow you to absorb what we've gone through, and then we're going to pivot into you and your own journey. So, how, as a digital marketer, and just to come back to your poll, I'm going to end that poll now. Most of the people in this webinar, so most of you are curious, you're exploring digital marketing as an option, or you're a first-time seeker, or you're hoping to move into a role. And so hopefully this section will really be useful for you, because to find your place in the industry, I believe that you have to find your purpose first, because finding your purpose allows you to set a direction and to keep going in that direction even when times are tough. And it also allows you to stand out. Because I know that when I was recruiting for people, yes, I wanted to see the skills. Yes, I wanted to see they'd been on courses, that they could do the job. But actually, most of all, I wanted to see they cared. I wanted to know that they would turn up, and that people would actually do the job that we were hoping that they would do through their own motivation. And so actually your purpose is what allows you to do that. How do you find your purpose? So I mentioned at the beginning of the session a Japanese concept called Ikigai. Ikigai is a very simple concept. It's a compound word, so a word made from two words, Iki and Gai. Iki means life, Gai means value. So that's really what the simple definition is, your reason for being, the value that you find in life. And what's helpful is because it's Japanese, we can all interpret the translation slightly, but this is broadly what it is about. It's about finding joy, finding fulfillment, and being balanced in the daily routine, the things that you do every day in your life. And this can apply as much to your leisure time as it can apply to your professional time. However, the old adage goes, if you find a job that you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And the reason I've stayed in this industry is that before I really kind of leapt in, I thought about, well, does this industry, will it help me find joy? Can I find fulfillment? Can I solve the sort of problems that I see the world needs to be solved? Can I do the kind of work that I can be paid for? And knowing that is really kind of what makes me feel pretty chilled out on a Sunday and not stressed out on a Monday morning, because I know that whatever comes my way, I know that I care enough. And even if I make mistakes, it's not because I couldn't be bothered, it's because I care. So finding joy in your daily routine of your life, particularly to start your careers, is really important. And even if digital marketing is not for you, I would really urge you to think about this, because actually we spend so much of our times at work that is so important to, as well as paying the bills, to actually make sure that when we look back on our lives and look back on our work, we've done something that we think matters. And it is important in the in the digital marketing industry, and in fact in any industry, because people don't really respond to what you are. They want to know you. They want to know your why. Why are you here? Ask yourself that question. Why are you here on this webinar? And then ask yourself that question when you apply for a job, when you go to the interview, when you go for the second interview. And that's what people really buy into. If you've got a really compelling reason why you're there and why you want to be there and why you want to carry on being there and why you will carry on being there, your why that's drawn from your Ikigai will really help with that. And as in any form of marketing, emotional stories are what connect us to people, right? So an emotional story that tells your journey is immediately more captivating than just the story of how you built up a bunch of skills, right? So yes, you have to tell that story, but that has to be a good why in there. So Ikigai has 4 elements, and so this is the bit where we're going to get into a bit of you thinking about where you are and who you are. And so if you get ready some notes is basically what I'm going to say, if you want to do that. If not, just listen along. So there are 4 elements to Ikigai: passion, what really you love in life; your mission, what you see as your purpose in life, what you want to do; your vocation, what you're good at doing, so the kind of skills you have, the skills you like to apply; and your profession, what you can be paid to do. And what we're looking for in Ikigai is an overlap between all of those things: passion, mission, vocation, and profession. Your passion is what you love doing. Take a moment to think about that. If you could spend a day at work and do just the things that you love doing, what would you be doing? And it's okay to say, I'd be getting people together, I'd be connecting, or I'd be sitting on my own and I'd be reading. Or what is it that you love to do? What gives you energy? What gives you inspiration? And so if you don't do this now, do it later, do it on your own, find a book about Ikigai, but I really recommend going through this process. So the next step, your mission. What do you think the world needs now, right? I see the world's problems, and for me, a lot of them come from inequality. They come from people just effectively being forced to or deliberately acting badly. So ethics and being ethical in business is really important to me, and that's perhaps my mission, is to help digital marketers be more ethical in their life. And that's why, for me, purpose and values are really important. So ask yourself that question: what do you think the world most needs now? What are the priorities for the world? I'm sure we could come up with some similar ideas. And your vocation. So what are you good at? What are you really good at? And yes, I could say, so I'm pretty good with data. I like to think I write good copy. I like to think that in certain situations I can communicate reasonably well, and I have a good understanding of strategy. But what are you good at? And if you're early in your career, it might be more general than specific. You might just have to say, I'm good with numbers, so I'm good at analytics. Or I'm pretty creative, I wrote some good copy, I contributed to my college's website, etc., etc. But just think about the things that you are good at doing. And if you're not sure, ask someone, ask a teacher, ask a friend, ask a family member. What do you think I'm really good at doing? You might be surprised actually. And when I've asked that question to people, I'm like, okay, I hadn't thought of that. So yeah, just ask people around you because often they'll perhaps reveal things that maybe you thought you weren't good at, but actually you are pretty good at. And then obviously, yes, it's great to have passion, it's great to have purpose, but we still need to pay the bills. I've got rent to pay and I've got food to buy. So think about, what is the sorts of things you can be paid to do. This all comes together in Ikigai. So you can see how this overlaps, and that's really what you're looking for. You're looking for jobs, sectors, and businesses that really meets your passion, your mission, your vocation, and your profession. So the ideal job for you is fixing a problem that you want to see in the world or a brand or just addressing that, doing work that you really love doing and that you're good at, and doing work that actually is pretty well paid to do that. Now, I think for digital marketers, we're really lucky because actually we get an opportunity to do all of this. I should also say it doesn't matter if you're not quite there. So this is a direction of travel. I say it's a lifelong piece of work for each of us to find that joy, to find that fulfillment and balance. But it's not an immediate thing. Don't expect this to happen overnight. So it's absolutely fine to just do a job that you're good at and that you could be paid for, right? And actually, that's a great place to start. If you can add your bit of passion and a bit of mission or something else into that, all the better. But think of it as a direction and also consider that you might find your purpose and your passion outside of work as well. So don't feel that this is a restriction just because you can't do the perfect thing for you now. That's a problem. The perfect thing for you will happen. Be patient, focus on these areas, and do the right kind of thing, and you will see that actually it becomes easier to apply these. But where you can immediately apply it is actually in your job hunt. So yes, Ikigai is great about finding things, but you should be using your Ikigai to actually guide what you do. So there's 2 million jobs out there. How do you find the right one? Well, let Ikigai be your guide. So focus on the roles and the sectors that really match your passion. Focus on the roles where perhaps your vocation and your professional skills can shine. And actually, that's a really good place to start because then you narrow down the search to perhaps a particular set of companies or sectors or types of roles. Because again, you could be your Ikigai could be just to be a great project manager and make things work, and that's fantastic because we need more things that work, and you could almost do that in any sector. So your Ikigai is your superpower, but it guides you and it motivates you because if you really do something that you care about, it makes getting out of bed and writing another application super, super, super easy. Okay, so that's where to start. So we're going to talk about where you start, and I asked you about networking. So let's say you know that your passion and purpose is that you love the idea of working in the healthcare sector. You love the fact that you can make people healthier and that there's lots of digital marketing opportunities in there. Well, how do you get involved in that, particularly if maybe you are new to the sector or you haven't done that? So networking is actually a really good way of both finding opportunities, but also testing your Ikigai against that sector. When you're moving to a new sector, it can be a bit intimidating, and particularly for your domain knowledge, like, well, how do I get to know it? So digital and physical events and meetups and that kind of thing will allow you to learn about the sector, build up connections and networking, and also, see the people there. Like, are these the kind of people that you want to spend your time working with, right? Are these the sort of people that can help you? Could these be your crew? Could these, could you see yourself making friends with these sorts of people? If the answer is no, then you might be in the wrong kind of place. So I can't quite see what's on the chat there, but I'll give, I run my own meetup, the Ethical Digital Marketing Meetup, which is local to my area, and I get to meet lots of people that are interested in using marketing ethically, and and we have lots of young job hunters who come to those meetups and who are, who are looking to find their place. And there are meetups for marketing and for sectors all over the place. There are events, there's webinars, there's all sorts of things. So find your tribe. I think that's what I'm saying. Find the people who resonate, who can share ideas, and go with it open-hearted as well. Like, yes, you're junior, but you can be honest. You can say, I just really am intrigued by this sector. I'm really intrigued by these roles, by your company. And I want to find out more because potentially I can see myself working with you. And people love it if they really care about. I mean, I love it, and I still love it when people come up to me and say, "Oh, we love this, and I really want to get into ethical marketing. Where do I start? Do you know any of any roles?" So, don't ask directly for a job. That's my other tip. Ask for a coffee or an introduction. Say, I'd really love to network. There's lots of ways to do it. I'm going to take a bit of a pause there before we move on. So, where else can you do this networking? So LinkedIn is a great place. There's obviously social media. You've got events, you've got meetups, and you've got courses. So I mentioned a couple of courses that I've been on. Those networks are really valuable for me still. I've got friends, I've got connections. I've got some work coming up that comes from a connection that I made way back in my digital marketing bootcamp. So really good courses attract really good people who go on to do really good things. And so if you can find a great course at a great place and you love it and you think it matches where you want to go to, then I'd really jump in because that will pay you off handsomely over the course of your career. And those professional networks often start that. And it's the same with MBAs and master's programs. People say it's the network that they build up. So yeah, so as well as LinkedIn and social media, I mentioned events, there's obviously meetups. Courses are a great place just to sort of meet other people. You're going through the same thing, you're learning the same thing, and those people will end up in the profession and can help you, guide you, maybe even find you jobs. How do we actually go through that process? So, how do you find a job? Well, there's lots of ways to do that. There's lots of places for it. So you've got places like LinkedIn, that is still the place, I believe, to make connections and to follow people, engage with people, because it's a work network, but it's also a social network. So it allows you to find people in the sector, profession, jobs, or the companies you're interested in, and even start up conversations. And when I was recruiting, I always liked it if people understood that I was a recruiter, if candidates followed me or sent me a LinkedIn request, I'd actually quite like it. So don't be afraid during that recruitment process. If you can see someone who's involved in it and you think you can make a genuine connection, then don't be afraid to do that. You can obviously find stuff on social media. Increasingly, people are advertising jobs on places like TikTok. There's the web. So search for digital marketing jobs in your sector or industry or particular companies. There are job boards like Indeed Jobs, and there's community as well. You will often Community is a great place to hear about work. So very often people, you can say, so well, how are things going in the particular company? Is digital marketing something that you do? And if people say yes, they might say, you know what, we're recruiting. So you will hear about that through word of mouth and on communities. And there are also lots of online communities on Discord and on Slack where you can meet other digital marketers. I'm part of a fractional CMO community, and it's a great place for me just to sort of see what else is going on. It's on Slack, and I've been approached for work because of that as well. So get online, get into physical places, get out there talking to people, and make it about what you care about. Because actually, that's what's really cool. It's like if you genuinely care about that, it doesn't really matter where you are in your career. What matters is that you genuinely are interested in what's going on. So if you find a job and you want to apply for it, how do you stand out? So I've recruited for lots and lots of jobs, and I've had seen lots of CVs and lots of covering letters and had lots of recommendations. And I'm going to share a bit about from other, because I've worked with other recruiting managers, what it is it that really helps someone stand out. So there's two things that for me really stand out. I want to know that you can do the job. I want to know that you care. because doing the job is what gets you through the door. Showing that you care is what is going to make you successful, because there's a lot of pressure on our role. We're expected to get results, unlike, well, I wouldn't say unlike traditional marketing. I don't want to cause a sort of, what's the word, a distinction that isn't really there, particularly in the mind of consumers. But, because of the data and the insights we can get, we know how successful digital marketing can be. So, yes, it's a great job, but sometimes it can be tough, like any job, right? And to get through those tough times, you have to really sort of have that fire in your belly, and so that's really what I want to see. Not just for the tough times, but just generally. It's like I want to see that you can do the job, and I want to see that you're going to stand out because you really care about the job and what you're doing and the problems that we are trying to solve as a company and as a community. And again, Ikigai is a great way of doing that. So if you have identified the things that you're good at, the things that you care about, the problems you want to solve, and actually, most importantly, how that relates to the job that you're applying for, so you can bring that out throughout the process. And for me, the covering letters were really important. So if they ask for a covering letter, always do it. Make it short, make it about them, but also about you. And what it's a really simple, I'm not going to put the formula up on the screen. It's a very simple formula. It's like, Dear Simon, I saw that you're advertising for this job. I'm really interested in it because I see your company does XXX. So show that you know what the company and the sector is about, and then flip it onto you. I think I could do a great job for you because I really care about this. And you can see that through the training that I've done, the communities that I'm part of, the events I've been to, and the work that I've done. If you've already done that, if you've got evidence of it. So again, draw upon what makes you special, bring that out, and don't be afraid to bring that on the covering letter. Don't make it lots of, again, the last job that I recruited for, we got, I think, something like 120, 130 applicants. So please don't have pages on there. Couple of paragraphs, lovely type, make it look good, make your CV look good. So again, not lots of pages, but just very simple and clear. That's all we want. We will judge you if it looks like it was sort of done in a 1990s font, something like Times New Roman. Okay, no, actually Times New Roman is making a comeback. Comic Sans, let's say. Anyway, some of you may not even know what those fonts are. I hope you know what I'm talking about. Sorry, I'm obsessed by fonts. I'll get off the font topic for a moment. But what I'm trying to say is, in digital marketing, there's a lot of around content. So at least make it look good. No typos. Like, there's no excuse for a typo. And you'd be amazed how many people leave typos in their CVs. It doesn't have to be everything that you've ever done and every detail of it, but please make it relevant. So your covering letter and your CV should just be super clear, as short as possible, easy to read, but it should also look visual. It shouldn't be cluttered. It should just look simple, because simplicity, again, in content is often what we're striving at. And with digital marketers, we want to see that you get that you get that things have to look good and they have to read well. So again, you have to that's one way of evidencing that. Interview basics, just turn up on time, do the right sort of stuff, talk about your mission, talk about what you care about, respond clearly, but again, just make it really balanced, make it about you, and just try and shine based on your purpose and your values, and then follow up. Send me a quick email to say, hi, it's great to chat. I'd really hope, I really think I could fit in. What you told me was great about the company. Hope I get through to the next stage. Something as simple like that on LinkedIn or email. Absolutely do. It shows that you care. And then continue this through the onboarding. So if you offer the job, and I know that you will, I'm sure you will, if you do the right things now, but just make sure you just keep up that sort of professionalism, passion, friendliness, because sometimes people get the job and they drop off a little bit, and that's always really disappointing. Raise a red flag before anyone started. So again, just let Ikigai be your direction in all these jobs. Use it to hone in on the ones that are really relevant to what you care about. Use it to hone in on your message. Be really clear, be yourself, and just allow yourself to shine. Allow your passion, your mission, your profession, your vocation, everything that you've done, all the skills you've developed, all the certifications, all those things, just bring those out. And Ikigai will be the way of focusing that. And then, yes, you can use AI for the basics, but just make sure that you hone the specifics yourself. So use ChatGPT to help you write a covering letter, but please, please craft it yourself because I can spot AI written stuff a mile away and so can other recruiters. So yes, use AI for the basics like the research, but hand hone the specifics so that your mission and what makes you special stands out. This is all about you fundamentally, and I really hope that you found a little bit of inspiration in what we talked about, and that you go on to a great profession in this sector. And that's me done. We now have 6 minutes for Q&A, so I'm going to just quickly hand over to DC, who's going to help us with that.
Brilliant, Simon. I'm only here to facilitate a few of the questions that have come through, but wanted to say thank you as well. We'll use this time for the Q&A, and just for everyone to remember, pop questions in the Q&A. First one, quickly, Simon, we'll get through them. Simon, how did you get into digital marketing? I think you mentioned it earlier, obviously, when you went through it, but if you'd like to just rehash that quickly.
It was because I had to. So I convinced myself that I was going to launch my own brand of socks, and I did. And to do that, I had to learn how to price things, sell things, get things seen, advertise things, engage people, etc., etc. So it was a baptism of fire. It was brutal. I learned a lot. Um, and yeah, that is through hands-on experience. But I really got into digital marketing by attending as a boot camp at a training provider, and that's actually that was the pivotal moment. That's what gave me the confidence to round out my skills and take proper steps into the profession.
Interesting question. Thank you. Interesting question here. Starting off as a freelancer, how do you work out how much to charge for your services?
Whew, we could do a whole session on that, I think,
Yeah, true.
which is the typical webinar answer. I think it very much it depends, right? When I was starting off as a freelancer, I did a few bits of work for free just so I could get some badges under my belt, get some experience, or I kind of lowballed the cost. But I did that through my network, right? And which I had the privilege of. I'm not going to say how to price it because there's different ways to price, right? You can price to get market share. You can price just to cover your costs. That you can price probably the best way to start off is just to make sure at least you're benchmarked across. There's lots of ways to benchmark what the cost of freelancers are. So make sure you're kind of in that ballpark. The mistake to not make is to underprice yourself early because that's really, I know it's a mistake I made early on. It's really hard to get out of that once you're set in the mind of a certain group of people, that your X a day going up from that is actually pretty tough.
Great answer. I hope that assists. How easy is it to move across sectors once you've been working in one for a while? I'm assuming that's for a potential career change or a change of industry within the sector.
It's a great question. That's exactly what I did, and I used training as my kind of leapfrog to do that. It is. I think it's easy to do if your mission is right, right? Because that's the story. I changed sector because I wanted to do this. I'm really good at analytics, and I really care about helping people have a healthier financial future. If I hear that, and actually there's good evidence to show for career change. If you're a career changer, I would say definitely do it. And the reason I say definitely do it is because it's a lovely story to tell. And hiring managers actually like development opportunities. They like to see someone who's got the passion and purpose to have made this big, scary change, but then will follow it through. So yes, I think it is easy with the right backing. So if you can get out there, if you follow your purpose and you can get the right sort of training, then yes, I'd say it's easy if you care.
Yeah, and it's often valuable to bring, if it is a change of industry within the same profession as well, but that goes for career changes to bring not only a fresh set of eyes, but transferable skills into that new role and highlight them along the way.
Yeah,
Next question,
absolutely. So you'll have domain knowledge, for example. It depends whether you're moving sector or career. If you're moving sector is actually quite tricky, and I think hopefully I haven't moved. Yeah, I think it may be misunderstood. But yeah, so sectors it is tricky, but like I said, if you go to events, webinars, there's lots of information. If you're genuinely interested, you'll find it easy just to sort of get into the sector. There's lots of reading to do, there's lots of ways to research it. So I'd say both, like changing careers and changing sectors. It's easier now than it's ever been because there's lots of support to do that.
Just a reminder for everyone, if you've got a quick question or two, we're almost out of time for Simon's section, but I'm happy to answer more questions following as well.
No, I am too as
And
well.
we'll give an overview. Have you got a couple more minutes, have you?
Yeah, absolutely. We were supposed to have a bit longer for this Q&A, so I'm going to redeem myself partially. Apologies for that, everybody. But yeah, by staying on.
Thank you. And there's a really good question here. There is such a large array for businesses to choose marketing
Yeah.
services, I guess, from one-man bands to large corporations. Which route do you think would give the better launch pad, I'm assuming, for a career in digital marketing?
I
Great
think it
question.
depends. It depends on what your purpose and mission is. So if
Mm,
you're very orientated towards developing skills, for example, which some people are, then probably an agency is a good place to do that because agencies give you lots of opportunities to try different things. And there
mm,
are, whether you fit in a smaller, I come from a smaller age, I've only worked in small agencies and I really like that because you're just more of a team working together and people, and I know that more junior people get a lot more opportunity to write, to kind of to try different things. But you also get those opportunity in bigger businesses, so you get the opportunity, but you can, it's a difficult one. Sometimes it's useful to have that big business name on your CV. I'm going to say I think it really depends on where you want to get to because if you want to work in big business, then start a big business. If you really want to feel like you want to just flex your muscles as a digital marketer, then maybe an agency is a good place to start. They are great places to learn. They pay pretty well, and that I know that I've probably had a bit more fun working for an. I'm biased. I'm going to just say it. I'm biased. I had more, but I did have more fun working as part of agencies than in-house, just because there's variety of work. If you hate a
yeah.
client, you can move off and move on to another
Yeah,
project.
and the variety is, and I guess the increase of the range of responsibilities in a smaller environment,
Yeah,
often in the bigger
but I know I
there's
had the
attraction
privilege of
to that too,
working
isn't
on.
it?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, that's
And
it.
I know people that have moved from agencies and are having a brilliant time in house. So don't take my word for it. You do you, I think is the answer.
It's a great question. Thank you. Mario's asked, how do you transition from running your own small companies, one successful but not big, one failed, which is a great learning outcome, I hope, Mario, and wearing many hats within to a specialized career like digital marketing? Great question, Mario.
That is a great question. I see that as if you've experienced business failure, I think you've probably had one of the most useful experiences
Yeah.
that life can give you. And my first job I absolutely loved, and the business ended up going bust. And going through that whole process, although I was, was really useful for me understanding what happened. Um, Again, if you can tell the story of of your life and where you're going next, what you see is happening next, the skills that you've got. I mean, you're going to have loads of transferable skills from that experience. You'll be able to spot things that people haven't. You've probably got, maybe you can talk about your resilience. I honestly, I think you could just pick out the things that really shine through that, the things that really helped hone you as a person and that now take you on this journey. And again, it's just about crafting that narrative for yourself as much as for anyone else. Why am I here? Please don't see it as a failure. Businesses go, in and out. And yeah, you look like you're going to add something there, DC.
Yeah, I love that response. And I also feel, Mario, you're going to, in digital marketing, especially in the smaller, well, even any of the agencies or even some of the companies, get a great deal of empathy for people that have been on a similar path in many ways, people that have built and succeeded in business, that understand your resilience and what it was that took you to get to where you were with that business, and also what it took to learn from a business failing as well. So
Yeah,
don't shy away from that. It's actually once you lock in with someone using Ikigai, especially once you've positioned that, um, yeah, don't be afraid to voice what you've learned during that
yeah,
experience.
yeah.
It's quite unique.
I'm a big advocate for. So I think probably how I'd sum everything up about career and applying for jobs is authenticity,
Mm,
right? And the things that, the most important feedback we get, for example, is perhaps negative feedback. The most important experiences we have in our lives, in our professional lives, are the things that are tough, but you come back. If you come back bigger and better, then that's great. So authenticity in marketing is really important, and actually authenticity in people, I think, is what makes people comfortable. If your authentic you is there, you're going to shine, and people will connect with that.
Yep. Wonderful. One or two more, and then I'm happy to go over the actual program because I think it aligns with a lot of what you've said as well.
Yeah.
The last question is relating to the course.
Well,
So I will
that's a
touch
great
on that.
segue. I'll go on mute and I'll hand over to you, DC, in that case.
Firstly, I'd love to say thank you, Simon. I found that most insightful, as I'm sure the audience have and did. We much appreciate your time and input and effort into what you've presented, and I certainly will walk away with a newfound insight. Even though I'm in no way, shape, or form a digital marketing expert, but I hope certainly that many of the audience gain some tips that will help them
That's
positioning
great.
themselves for opportunity moving forward. Thanks, very
Thank
much
you, and thank
appreciated.
you for staying with us, everybody. It was really lovely to chat to you all and to answer some of your questions.